to the Registrar of the Manukau District Court, and to the New Zealand Police. May it please the Court. The defendant submits the following. 1. The defendant, Tony Raymond Adams, submits the following additional factual information and responses to the video evidence entered by the prosecution on September 22, 2023 named, Auckland Airport July 16, 2022, CCTV and cell phone footage synchronized. 2. The hearing on September 22, 2023 was adjourned by the presiding judicial officer after raising questions about the conduct of the defense during cross-examination of Nicholas Makindo, namely that the defense asked if the witness was aware that the police had supplied the defendant with his home address. This was asked to see if the witness was aware that the police had breached the witness's privacy. Shortly after, the prosecution stated that the address was actually the witness's work address, which was an error on the part of the defendant. In no way was this question asked in an attempt to threaten, intimidate, or harass the witness, and if the court considers this in some way to be contemptuous or offensive, the defendant apologizes to the court should this have caused such offense in any way, as this was not the intent of the defendant. 3. The additional factual information relating to the above video evidence are listed below in chronological order by their associated timestamps. Factual information and relevant information and points according to timestamps of the video entered as evidence by the prosecution. At 00 minute 23 SEC, the Jetstar manager, J.M. Fiale Lawful states organize it yourself, yet during her sworn testimony on September 22, 2023 she stated she did not, committing perjury pursuant to Section 108 of the Crimes Act 1961. At 01 minute 45 SEC, the passenger referred to as Blinky Bill admitted to getting angry while the defendant remained peaceful. At 03 minute 28 SEC, the JM tells her staff not to serve him. At 03 minute 42 SEC, Skygate Security S25, Nicholas Makindo, NM, asks the defendant, "Why are you taking photos?" The defendant responded by asking, "Why, am I not allowed?" At 03 minute 45 SEC, NM responds by saying no. Note, as the defendant is aware that the airport is a public place regardless of being private property, and that pursuant to Section 14 of NZ Bill of Rights Act 1990, BORA, the defendant has the right and freedom to seek, receive, and impart information and opinions of any kind, in any form he knew he could record, and NM was incorrect. See Annex 1, Summary Offences Act 1981, Section 2 Public Place. Furthermore, see Annex 2, page 8 of Behaviour Offences, 10.1, New Zealand Police Intranet, released via OIA. At 04 minute 32 SEC, NM refuses to identify himself to the defendant, therefore the defendant did not recognize NM as having any type of authority. At 05 minute 07 SEC, NM states, "I don't have to show you ID," again refusing to identify. At 05 minute 34 SEC, NM states, "I'm not trying to remove you," to the defendant. At 05 minute 40 SEC, NM again refuses to identify upon request. At 06 minute 00 SEC again, NM states, "I'm not trying to remove you." At 06 minute 04 SEC for a third time, NM states, "I'm not trying to remove you." At 06 minute 54 SEC, after speaking to NM, the defendant returns to the Jetstar counter and JM again tells her staff no one is serving him. At 07 minute 17 SEC, JM says, "I'm not giving any consent to be filmed," however the defendant did not require consent. At 07 minute 25 SEC, JM states she is not public even though she is standing in public and serving the public. At 08 minute 11 SEC, JM calls the defendant stupid and ridicules the defendant for organizing a flight crew as she asked the defendant to do, due to the defendant going to Air NZ. At 08 minute 29 SEC, the defendant requests the JM's manager, and is ignored. At 09 minute 23 SEC, another customer endures JM incompetence. At 10 minute 32 SEC, police attend. At 10 minute 44 SEC, the defendant asks Aaron Schuster, QIDASW 842, as, to identify himself, as complies and the defendant records his identification. At 10:46 SEC the defendant asks Cherie Hare, QID CHW263, CH, to identify herself. In response CH failed to identify herself and obstructed the defendant from recording her identification. At 10:54 SEC CH stated you're not to be filming here. Note, pursuant to Section 5 of NZ BORA, no limitation to Section 14 of BORA had been demonstrably justified and the defendant is aware that in accordance with the Policing Regulations 2008 Section 4, b, CH failed to state her identify upon request and seemed solely focused on preventing the defendant from exercising his right to record in a public place. At 10:55 SEC CH asks the defendant 3 times, can you turn off your phone please? In response the defendant states no, I can film, it's a public place. At 11:00 SEC CH responds by saying no it's not, it's private. At 11:04 SEC the defendant states I've been quite reserved. In response CH says turn it off referring to my camera/phone. At 11:08 SEC CH then says to the defendant come on out, while trying to lead the defendant away from where he was peacefully standing, without reasonable grounds to do so and the defendant responses saying no several times. At 11:12 SEC the defendant asks CH are you arresting me remaining calm. At 11:14 SEC as states we are just having a chat with you. At 11:17 SEC the defendant replies calmly we can chat here, I need to get to Queenstown. At 11:24 SEC the defendant directs his phone at CH and says you are very rude. In response CH says get that out of my face, when the defendant was at least 1 meter away from her. At 11:35 SEC the defendant states to CH you do not have the right to tell me not to record in a public place. In response CH states it is private property. At 11:45 SEC as tries to get the conversation back to what the problem was, and says so your flight got cancelled followed by so what's been happening. In response the defendant points at the JM and says okay, she's just ignoring me. At 11:54 SEC the defendant states again to CH you are very rude. At 11:56 SEC CH without warning then lunges at the defendant, assaulting him while attempting to steal his phone. Note, clearly CH was more concerned with the defendant exercising his rights affirmed under Section 14 of BORA than what the actual issue or problem was, although as was trying his best to help and de-escalate the situation, CH continually trying to infringe of the defendant's rights along with assaulting him and trying to snatch his property did the opposite, was itself disorderly, and only escalated the matter further. At 12:01 SEC while assaulting the defendant and trying to steal his phone, CH states I don't want you to film me, turn it off, turn your phone off. At 12:07 SEC CH then walks over to NM and tells him to get his trespass folder. At 12:08 SEC the defendant states don't touch me too as. At 12:10 SEC CH came back and says you're being trespassed now. The defendant responds, no I'm not, for what? I'm in a public place, CH states private property. At 12:15 SEC the defendant states okay, I'm gonna ring Mark, hang on a second, I'm gonna ring Mark, do not touch me while CH tried to grab the defendant's arm. At 12:18 SEC CH says to the defendant out you go. In response, the defendant says do not touch me and hang on a second, I'm gonna ring my lawyer. At 12:24 SEC again, CH says turn your phone off, turn it off now, further attempting to breach the defendant's rights and lawful activity as the defendant was now also recording for his own protection after being assaulted and the attempted theft. At 12:25 SEC CH moves behind the defendant, pointing to her right while saying move outside. The defendant responded don't touch me. At 12:26 SEC CH states I will touch you and proceeds unreasonably and without justification, to use force by pushing the defendant in the middle of his back. At 12 28 SEC the defendant then asks as to tell her not to touch me, CH then using all of her body weight and with both hands, violently shoves the defendant in the middle of his back, further assaulting him. At 12 32 SEC the defendant repeatedly says don't touch me while CH again points while saying out you go. At 12 36 SEC the defendant then says do not, you're touching me and directs his phone at CH to capture CH's actions, CH then ducks to avoid the phone capturing her. At 12 38 SEC CH then starts to swipe at the defendant's phone with her hand while saying get that out of my face. The defendant notes that it is lawful to record police in the course of their duties and the phone was not in her face. At 12 43 SEC as then asks CH do you wish for arrest? At 12 44 SEC CH says you're trespassed, if you don't leave this property now you're under arrest. At 12 46 SEC the defendant responds arrest me, yous will get done in court, I'm telling you right now and you obviously don't watch Kiwi audits, CH says it's private property to which the defendant responds no it's not, okay, I'm ringing Mark my lawyer, hang on a second. At 12 55 SEC CH says you're trespassed, leave this building now, the defendant responds listen to me. At 12 57 SEC CH states you're under arrest for trespass. Note, from the time the defendant was trespassed, at 12 10 SEC, and told to leave now, at 12 55 SEC, until being arrested for trespass, at 12 57 SEC, was a total span of 47 seconds. To the defendant's knowledge in a public place, an offence must be allegedly committed to be trespassed or arrested, yet the defendant had done neither, as the defendant believed CH's actions were unlawful. Pursuant to Section 48 of the Crimes Act 1961, the defendant therefore had the right to self-defense and to justifiably use any reasonable force he deemed necessary to resist this from happening. At 13:00 SEC the defendant stated I'm not trespassing. In response CH said yes you are while pulling out her handcuffs. At 13:04 SEC CH then places her handcuffs on the defendant's left wrist. The defendant then looked to his wife and said hang on a second 3 more times. At 13:16 SEC the defendant's wife comes over and the defendant gives his phone to her and says record, record, record. At 13:18 SEC the defendant's wife attempted to get the defendant to talk to their son on her phone, while CH tells his wife to turn that off, turn that off. At 13:20 SEC CH then shoves the defendant's wife escalating the situation further. The defendant says to CH several times do not touch my wife. At 13:23 SEC CH then started pulling on the defendant's left arm that was cuffed, causing the defendant pain, while yelling at the defendant to put your hand behind your back. At 13:30 SEC while being held by both officers either side, the defendant was then frog marched out of the building by force. At 13:40 SEC the defendant repeatedly stated unlawful arrest as he was not given a reasonable time to gather his family and property before peacefully leaving or obtaining any advice regarding what was happening. Furthermore, pursuant to Section 4(5)(b) of the Trespass Act 1980, it was necessary in defense even if trespassed, for the protection of the defendant's family and property to do so, as the defendant did not wish to cause an emergency by leaving his luggage unattended. At 13:53 SEC the defendant asked his wife to ask them why they're arresting me. At 14:00 SEC CH stated, trespass. In response the defendant asked what have I done wrong, CH responded trespass. The defendant replies by who, to which CH stated by me. At 14:07 SEC the defendant asks CH who are you? At 14:13 SEC CH again states to the defendant's wife turn that off, appearing to still have delusions of privacy and concerns over being recorded lawfully by the defendant's wife. At 14:18 SEC the defendant tells his wife don't turn it off while continuing to defend himself against the unlawful arrest. At 14:23 SEC CH tell the defendant to put your arm behind your back, the defendant responded saying "You're hurting my hand." At 14:35 SEC as NCH continued to wrestle against the defendant's justified defense, as then stated "You just resisted," the defendant responded saying "No, I haven't." At 14:41 SEC the defendant's phone unexpectedly stopped recording, ceasing any audio being captured from this point. However, the CCTV continues. At 14:48 SEC placed the second cuff on the defendant's right wrist and then leads the defendant with S to the police vehicle. At 15:15 SEC the defendant's wife returns inside the airport to attend to their property/luggage. At 15:27 SEC while walking the defendant to the vehicle kept tugging at his arm while handcuffed. At 15:35 SEC while being held approximately 2 meters away from the vehicle by CH, while still holding the defendant by his left arm, stretches out to attempt to open the vehicle's rear passenger door, forcefully pulling apart the defendant's hands while handcuffed as he was held by on his right, causing the defendant extreme pain. At 15:38 SEC due to the pain caused by CH pulling apart the defendant's hands while handcuffed, the defendant pulled his left arm back to avoid further unjustified or unnecessary pain or injury. At 15:43 SEC NM noticed CH having difficulty opening the door and chose to assist the police by opening the door for her. At 16:00 SEC the defendant continued to state what the police were doing was unlawful. At 16:24 SEC CH took out her notebook and took my details. At 17:30 SEC as put the defendant into the police vehicle without searching his person. At no point was the defendant read his rights under BORA by CH or as nor cautioned. The defendant was then taken to Manukau police station where he exercised his right to silence and was given a trespass notice issued by NM and not CH as claimed on charging document. 3. The defendant wishes to thank this court for its valuable time, resources, attention, and consideration given in this matter. Date: November 20, 2023.